Hi, good afternoon. Once again, we are here at this special program called Real Estate School with Soma. Unfortunately, last month on 31st, we couldn't do it because of the Chinese New Year celebrations. We have moved it to the first week of this month. So once again, I want to wish all those on Facebook Live welcome. And I hope today's interesting topic on the private lease scheme will be able to help us have a better understanding about what's happening with leasehold property and with this particular scheme, especially in Johor. And I think I heard just now is also from Penang. So maybe we can get a little bit educated on this matter. And we've got a very interesting speaker with us today. But before that, I've got a couple of announcements. And as usual, you know that this particular program, in the first place, is to help agents learn new things, to be updated what's going on in the market. We want to address topical issues and then provide all the necessary updates on the board and in the market, and so that we will be better informed, and so that we can do our work as a professional. So as always, we want to also be a voice on real estate matters. So there are a couple of announcements, actually two announcements to make. First one is the Minister of Housing made a statement that Malaysia real estate transaction based on NAPIC report hit 217.46 billion last year. So as you all know, in 2023, that was the highest record of the the transacted value, which was 196 billion. And last year we hit, 2023, we hit 179. And 2024, we hit 217 billion. So while many are complaining that the real estate market is not good, they're struggling, so on and so forth, we realize that the market is doing really well. So that's good news for all of us. And so there is also a lot of reports that say that in the year 2025, we should be able to at least equal it, if not do a little bit better. So don't expect the market to go down. If all the things that's happening around us remains constant, I believe the market is going to be better. So go out there in the year 2025 and then work confidently and make as much money as you can and serve our customers well. And further to that report, the minister said that the strength of the country's real estate sector is driven by several factors, including low interest rate, positive investor sentiment, and increasingly stable economic prospect. So, this evidence that there's a lot of confidence in our market, both by local and foreign investors, and so it will only strengthen our position in the property market. Announcement number two is that time has come, February, for us to go and attend our MAREC convention, which has been going on for the last so many years, organized by MIEA. This year, the convention is going to be held from the 26th to 27th of 25 at Bhd Times Square. And we expect around 400 over participants to attend from all the various associations. And the two things that's going to happen on the day. The number one is, I just heard just now that our Minister of Housing, Yang Berhormat Nga Koming, is going to be the guest of honor. So he's going to give an address. So this is latest. So it'll be good to meet the Minister of Housing. So please come in full force. And on top of it, they are also trying to break some kind of a Malaysia Book of Records. Most number of attendees from all the various real estate associations. So let's see whether they will be able to achieve the target. So don't forget, 26, 27, 2025, Bhd Times Square, our MAREC 2025, 10 CPD hours for all those who attend for 2 days. So please sign up quickly. The rates are already there. Effective 1st of February is 849 for members, and for non-members is 949. Okay? So I'll see you all there in MAREC. I'll be attending. Okay, now let's come back to the main topic of the day. And to do this topic, I have great pleasure now to call upon a very experienced, convincing lawyer. She knows a lot about land laws. When I saw her CV, and I get great pleasure now to call upon Puan Marlinda Ainal Marlinda Md Said from Zul Rafique Partners. Upon Ainal, please come forward and join us.
Thank you. Thank you, Soma.
Welcome, welcome.
Thank
Please
you.
come, take a seat. So welcome to our IQI headquarters.
Yes, thank you.
And it's indeed happy, and I'm happy to have you here as a guest.
Sure.
Thank you for accepting our invite. For your information, upon Ainal, if I may call you that, is
Yes,
a partner in Zul Rafique, which is a leading real estate firm. She was formerly head of legal at Sundram Property. She returned to Zul Rafique. She was there before. She returned to address growing complexities in the real estate and energy sector. And her experience spans across all types of property assets. And this is where her input is going to help us, including residential, commercial, industrial, office units, buildings, warehouses, and factories, data centers, vacant land, and Malay reserve land. You should become a real estate agent with all this knowledge. Okay? So with such wide knowledge on property disposal and acquisition, leases and Islamic and conventional, she's quite well versed with the Malaysian land laws. So she's a partner in Zul Rafique, and she was with Sam Dabi before. So once again, on behalf of all of us, we'd like to welcome you.
Thank you.
And we hope that we can have 30 to 45 minutes
Sure.
of enchanting discussion on
Of
the
course.
topic of private
Private
lease
lease.
schemes. So, okay, so my first question is a very simple question. We always, agents are this, because agents are listening to this. When you talk about freehold and leasehold, they always say leasehold is bad, freehold is good, freehold belongs to us, leasehold belongs to the state.
Correct.
But taking that as a simple understanding of a lease property, how would you define lease? And the process of registration of a lease in a simple nutshell.
Okay. Thank you, Soma. Lease, as you know, in Malaysia, we have two categories of properties. We have the leasehold, as you said just now, and also freehold. As you know, under National Land Code, it's any state lands belong to the state authority, which is the government. Yeah. So when it comes to leasehold properties or leasehold title, for example, the main owner is actually still the government, but they alienate the land or they give the land to the individual or corporations. Yeah. And normally with this government lands as such, you have a limited period is granted to you. It's in the period of 99 years, 999 years, and mostly in Selangor, for example, it's 99 years. It's the leasehold 99 years. How do you register your interest? It's usually by signing a transfer. When you sign a Form 14A, you would register the transfer from the previous owner, for example, the vendor, to the purchaser. And the only intricacies when it comes to leasehold property, the title usually would carry certain restrictions. They have the sekatan kepentingan there. You would need to get state consent. Different compared to the freehold. Freehold, you don't have all these limitations. Yeah, so as such, when it comes to selling a leasehold property, you would need to take the completion period usually would be slightly longer, 6 months, 3+1 from the unconditional date. Unlike a freehold, it's an easier outright 3+1 period. Yeah, so that's where the leasehold, we normally would say leasehold property carries. Pricing wise, freehold property carries higher appreciation price as compared to leasehold.
Okay.
Yeah?
Interestingly, this whole topic was identified for this particular program because there's a group of estate agents out there. I think they're all watching. They were concerned about how in Iskandar, in Johor, the property is leasehold, and then the owner of the land now or the developer sells it to another person and sublease it, and then it becomes a private lease scheme, and they develop the project.
Correct.
So we really want to have a good understanding of how this works in the context of the National Land Code, in the context of agents, for us to market it. So can you explain what's private lease scheme or PLS compared to leasehold land non-PLS?
Okay. First and foremost, I just wanted to clarify the point on PLS is not something that is provided for under the National Land Code. Nonetheless, there's no specific clause or specific provision under the NLC at this point of time.
Okay.
But nonetheless, it's being governed. It works as a lease arrangement, a lease agreement. It's a lease arrangement. How it differs is that PLS, as you said just now, is the landowner. For example, like the Johor land, is the landowner is actually IIB, Iskandar Investment Bhd, for example. It's a multi-tier. It's not like the Wakaf land in Penang, that's a single tier. When it comes to IIB, it's a multi-tier. So it's between the registered owner, they would lease it to the can be Medini lands in Sundram, and then they would further lease it to the purchaser. They would sell the developer would actually sell it via a lease. So there's no strata title at this point of time, as I made to understand. There's no strata title. That's in the course of being, they are changing this. There's a likelihood of changing PLS into a freehold, instead of having a leasehold. The main title is actually freehold. When they grant these lease rights, that's why I said PLS is actually a granting of lease rights. It's more like a tenancy, but a long-term tenancy. So the purchaser or the end buyers are actually, that's why when you look at if you look at what do you call this, for example, like for the Iskandar residents, they have their, normally for estate agents, I don't know, usually you would actually look at the brochures. The brochures clearly would say it's a sale of lease. It's not a sale of ownership rights. It differs from a freehold or the freehold under the National Land Code. So the difference between a PLS and a leasehold, largely PLS, you are selling interest in rent. Purchases are renting. You are merely renting for a long period of time. Unlike the leasehold owners, they do get a title, a registered title in their name. PLS owners do not get that. At this point of time, there's the movement towards getting a strata title is in the course. It's still in the course.
But what is stated is interesting. What is stated in the brochure when you were to buy a condominium? Let's say somebody is developing a condo. So how can somebody lease the land under the private lease scheme, and then they put up a building when there's no strata title?
Okay, with regards to if you're talking about the PLS scheme, the PLS scheme is for example, like the Iskandar Residence project, it's clearly stated it's a freehold land. The master land is a freehold land.
Okay.
But when they actually grant this the rightful the right of possession, I would say for PLS, the rightful possessions is given. Basically the buyers are actually lessees. They are the second layer lessee.
Okay.
The first layer lessee will be the developer just now, and the lessor will be the IIB. So when it comes to the strata title will be issued in the name of the lessor in IIB. It would not be in the name of the purchaser. The purchaser will hold as a lessee in the strata title.
So they will get a strata title.
Okay, at this point of time, I'm being told for Medini, there's so far only two projects are being issued with strata title. But that's the thing, we are yet to know how is it being identified there. Is it as registered owner or as a lessee? Technically, if you're following through from what is being advertised, what they are selling is a lease. They're selling a right to lease. It's not an outright purchase, an outright exclusive possession. It's not that.
So this is the case where 63 of the individuals are taking the legal action against Medini Iskandar Investment.
That's the current case.
That is the current case.
Ongoing now,
So what is actually the issue on this Medini case?
Okay, in the Medini case, this is quite a recent case in 2024. 63 purchasers actually they are claiming, they are suing the developer. They're suing the developer plus the registered owner, which is IIB. The developer is Distinctive Resources. They are claiming misrepresentation for one. They said that the developer misrepresented with regards to the sale. The buyers actually signed a wrongful SPA. The SPA was not the Schedule H under the HDA agreement, the Housing Development Agreement. It's an agreement that was not approved. They claim it's not approved. So because it's not the typical Schedule H SMP. And also they claim misrepresentation by conduct through all the brochures, through all the website, online materials that was being distributed to the purchaser. The buyers are claiming misrepresentation for one, and two, for wrongful using the HDA, not using the scheduled SPA. And this matter is still in court now, so we are not we are not able to discuss this further, but until we wouldn't want to prejudice the outcome of the decision. Of the
Okay,
case,
I
yeah?
understand that. So today as agents, especially those who are in Johor,
Right.
so if the developer now says, okay, go and sell this particular development, what should they do then?
Okay, my advice would be, first and foremost, you need to be clear on what you are selling. You need to know what is private lease scheme all about. Is it similar to a freehold property? If it's not, do not couch it as such. Don't say you will have a freehold property similar to a freehold ownership. It's not. Currently, where the law is at this point of time, no amendments to the HDA being made, no amendments to the NLC, National Land Code. Similarly, Strata Titles Act, Strata Management Act, no amendments being done at this point of time. So do not couch it whereby, I think the misunderstanding was the agents are saying you are getting something similar to a freehold, but it's not even a leasehold. What you are getting, a rights to lease, a right to tenancy. It's like merely a tenancy. At the end of the period of your PLS, for example, of 30 years, whether you can renew, unlike the leasehold, you can actually apply to the state for a renew and you pay a premium. PLS is different.
You can't.
You have to go back to the developer, you are at the mercy of the developer. If they say yes, then good. If they say no, then you are landed with.
So you got a purchaser will have to ask the developer.
Correct.
And the developer will have to ask Iskandar Investment, and then from there you have to go to Medini, and then the state. So that's the three tier.
It's actually straight to the developer, and developer would normally liaise with IIB, the registered owner, and then they would decide whether they would want to renew the lease or not. So the security, the buyers are not protected. I would say under the National Land Code, you have the NLC protection. Yeah, PLS we can't use NLC, but I would say PLS is similar to the leasehold, whereby you are using up your lease period. But it's just that under the NLC, you have the protection, like for example, leasehold title, you have the protection under NLC. PLS, we can't be using those. There's no provision for PLS under the National Land Code. But I'm being made to understand, for example, like if you're going back to the Medini case 2024, as you know, they are using the same grounds, similar grounds to the other case in 2020. There's another case where it involves the tropical residents. Yeah, there's another case where the plaintiffs won. 60 plus of them, they actually sued the developer, similar grounds, not using the SPA, scheduled SPA. They also claim misrepresentations, for saying that you are buying a leasehold, but in actual fact, you're selling lease period. Yeah, so in that particular case in 2020, the court decided for the plaintiffs.
Yeah, just to for those who may not be aware, under the Housing Developers Act, the Schedule H is provided for in the S&P, where you have to follow basically a structure where the payments will all be made to the developer, the schedule of payments.
Yep.
So in the case of PLS, they do not follow that particular schedule at all.
SPA.
And indirectly, they are going against the Housing Developers Act.
Let me just correct that. With regards to PLS for Medini is special, Soma. It's special, it's different.
Okay.
Why I say Medini, you need to understand why this whole PLS concept came to Medini. It was first mooted by them. First mooted by IIB, by Iskandar Investment. Why? Because the Medini, they wanted to, at that point of time, in 2012, Johor was introducing Medini. We wanted foreign investors to come in. How do you get the foreign investors to come in? At that point of time, Johor didn't want foreign investors to go all over Johor. So it was, you sort of contain in Medini. Certain things, certain tax exemptions, incentives were given. But as a contra from state of Johor, they said, okay, we issue you a PLS, so that we don't allow all foreigners to buy all the lands in Johor in perpetuity. Difference, for example, freehold, you have perpetuity rights. Leasehold is for a term of use, term of period. Yeah, after a certain period, it reverts back to the state. Same thing, PLS, but different. PLS, it goes back to the registered owner. It doesn't go back to the state. So that was how Medini came about many years ago. So that was why these purchases of Medini, when they bought, I was being made to understand this. All the Singaporeans were making a whole hoo-ha about this. Singaporeans suing the Malaysian developer. Essentially, was based on they did not check the SPA properly. They did not check the wordings in the brochure. Unfortunately, I got the actual brochure. I saw the wordings. It's the smallest of it all.
Always.
It's the smallest of it all. And most of the time, you wouldn't understand. Yeah, you need somebody who, with experience, legal person or an agent with experience to be able to decipher this.
I'm sorry, but I'm not trying to say something bad about my. Even many of the agents who go and sell are not aware of what is written down there at the bottom. So
Right.
they are, especially the junior
Agents.
or younger rents.
Yes,
Okay.
yes. So going back to your question just now, what agents, what all of your agents should be aware of? First and foremost, you need to know your product. If it's a PLS, explains it as well. Explain it as PLS. Do not be afraid to say PLS. To me, it's similar to a leasehold. It's just that you don't have the leasehold benefits or leasehold rights under the NLC. But it's similar. It's just similar. You occupy the property. You can use it to your benefit. You can sell it. It's just that you need to get consent from the registered owner. You can get a loan. But mind you, there are not many banks who would actually finance PLS property. But you can't do any major structural changes. Yeah, you can't do any renovation, internal renovation, minimal. That's fine. Yeah. So first and foremost, know your product. Secondly, you should show the appropriate authority approvals. For example, if you do get a special approval from the Ministry of Housing, you should actually show that to your buyers so that your buyers would have the understanding, oh, this is a special SPA. They do not claim misrepresentation, like the Medini case, where they said this is misrep. SPA was not Schedule H. In actual fact, there was approval from the Ministry of Housing. There was approval from IRDA. There was approval from EPU Johor.
Special approval.
So to be clear, your agents, you need to get hold. For you to sell, you need to get hold of these approvals first and foremost before you approach the public, so that they are aware. For Medini, it's special, and there are approvals. I don't believe, for example, like, investment in Medini, Iskandar Investment. I'm sure they actually appointed all these developers to actually sell. Yeah, the developers were approached by, they came to IIB. They got these lands, and they have a lease agreement that they signed with IIB. Yeah, when it comes to the selling of the lands, when they have developed the building, yes, they sign by way of SPA, but the sale and purchase agreement is not, as I said again, it's not the scheduled SPA, but it's a legal SPA, it's a contract. So again, going back to the definition of PLS, what is PLS? It's a contract between a lessor, the seller, the developer, and the lessee. So if the buyers are not comfortable, you should let your buyer look at the SPA. Let them go through. Do not rush them. Because I heard from a few lawyers when they say, oh, when I look at this, I was rushed. I was given X number of days to look at it, quickly come back and sign. When it comes to PLS, you need to explain. You need to explain to them the structure.
I'm a little bit concerned. I'm sure under the PLS scheme, even Singaporeans can buy, right?
Yes.
Can.
Yes. Because it's the Medini, as I said just now, it's the Medini, part of the Medini, it's part of the Johor Special Economic Zone as well. Yes, we are encouraging foreigners to come in. There's no pricing limit for Medini. Any price, it's not the 1 million pricing limit. So foreigners can buy. I'm being made to understand, even in Singapore, they have PLS as well.
Yep.
But that's why I don't understand why we make this an issue. You can buy PLS in Singapore. When you buy PLS in Malaysia, you say it's misrepresentation. You claim it as you're not fully following the HDB.
Because that's a developed country. They know exactly what they're doing. We're a developing country. No. Maybe it's not. I think the whole thing is we fail to understand the complexities and how we need to deal with all this.
Yeah.
So when we go and represent to the clients, we're not able to tell them the real story. But if you tell them the real story, this is what it is. And then if you agree to purchase or invest, then I think there's no problem. In fact, a lot of us are not clear or have a good understanding of this.
Understood, sir.
So, one of the questions that was posed to me was, so what legal rights do these people have under the PLS?
Okay, and then, as I said earlier, it's not PLS is not governed by the NLC, but the arrangement is as such that it's like a lease. It is a lease. You have a lease rights. Yeah, but it's not registrable at this point of time until you have your title issued. It's out. So what is your legal rights? Your legal right is pursuant to a contract that you sign with the developer. You have your rights there.
Your SMP.
Yeah, your SMP or your lease agreement. Because I made to understand they do get an SMP and then there's a lease agreement that they sign.
Oh, so there's also a lease agreement on top of the sales.
Correct.
Okay, SPA.
Yeah.
All right. That's
So
something
then
new.
that's the thing where the buyers, as I said in the Medini case, they would have known what they signed. If they claim they did not sign, if you say, okay, SMP, maybe not HDA, but when you sign a lease agreement, you would have known, what is this? You would have asked. So again, as I said, for future agents, for your agents, when they are selling, you should get hold of these documents. Yeah.
So that's the point I was trying to put across. So if it's an SNP, it is you got a lease agreement, so it is not in the NLC. So how do you register my interest in that property since I don't have a title?
Currently, there's no registration rights for you. You can't actually enjoy the indivisibility of title under the National Land Code. The Section 340 indivisibility of title, you can't enjoy that until NLC is amended, until strata titles is amended, HDA being amended. Yeah.
So you agree with me under these circumstances, to be fair, we can say that they are doing all this, even knowing what it is based on the documents, that it may be a risk to some extent.
Correct. But you risk to some extent when it regards to as ownership, full ownership rights as registered owner to a leasehold. Yes, you won't be getting that at all. But what you will be getting is a lease rights. You will be a lessee. You will see your name in the title as a registered lessee, not registered owner. So I think that's the part, the technical bit where your agents need to explain. If the buyer is comfortable, lebih kurang saja with the leasehold property. But you need to be clear, it's not lebih kurang, it's totally different animal.
I understand.
Totally
So
different animal.
how many years is the lease that developer is giving in Medini?
99 years.
They
And
also
when,
give-
99 years. And when you on lease it to further to the, for example, like they have a second layer developer, then it's the remaining period of the lease. So if it's less than 99, then you get the 80 plus. Then when you on sell it to the buyer, you get the remaining of that, unless you go and renew. Yeah, so that's always the issue of renewing the lease, because you can't just renew to the state. You have to go back to your developer. Developer have to go back to the registered owner.
So I hope all those who are listening to this, we are talking about the private lease scheme, especially in Johor. And I understand there are also such schemes in KL, but not so apparent. So please be careful, because the technicalities involved is not clear. Legally, it's not very clear. So before you embark on this, make sure you know all about your private lease scheme. And I think the developer also has a duty to explain
Correct.
to the agents, if they're marketing the project, what are the legalities involved in
You're
in
actually
the particular.
purchasing rights to occupy, rights. I said tenancy rights,
Yeah.
but a long-term tenancy. So yeah.
Okay. All right. So a lot of developers are doing this for, of course, basically to take advantage of the opportunity to develop a project and make some money out of it. So what is actually advantage? Let's say if there's a developer who's got this and he wants to, what's the advantage of the PLS scheme? We heard all the non benefit. What would be a benefit of a PLS scheme compared to a straight off leasehold? Is there any?
I would say the benefit largely will be PLS property is cheaper in that sense. It's cheaper compared to freehold or a leasehold. So your return of investment would be higher. Yeah. If you look at your strategically, I would say so, because why? In order to buy a PLS property, it's so much cheaper comparatively to a freehold property. Yeah. Apart from that, private lease, as you know, I'm not too sure about in KL, so I've not heard of any in KL though at this point of time. I do hear that the whole of Medini, they have certain plots that are freehold, but the rest of it are all PLS. They are all private lease scheme. Yeah. I would say the benefits will be, for example, like for Medini, it's an opportunity to actually, instead of having to purchase the land, developer can actually maintain ownership, but still develop and sell for a certain period of time. Yeah. So basically, it's I would say more so with regards to higher rate of return of investment, and largely more so you have higher potential rental yield comparatively to leasehold properties.
Because you're purchasing at a lower level.
Lower level.
So I think this will be very exciting for Singaporeans.
Of course. Yes, indeed. I'm
You'll be
sure.
very excited for Singaporeans.
Of course. Of
Malaysians
course.
got a lot of choice, freehold,
Yes, we
leasehold
have
land.
freehold. Yes.
So, but your Singaporeans, I think is also a little bit more. Uh, 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 it's much better also for us to go and tell, hey, you're foreigners, you want to buy the land, can cheaper, your exchange rate also lower, so you can lease it for the next 30 years, at this rate.
But
So,
you need to be clear, most importantly, that they are not getting a title.
yeah.
Leasehold, you get a title. I think that's the main squabble in the court cases. The misrepresentation is that we did not explain properly that the buyers are not getting a leasehold title with their name registered there as an owner. That's the main problem.
No title, no title.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I think you have answered most of the questions I have. So again, let's round it up by asking you. So, what is your advice to agents who are dealing with marketing a PLS project in a point form? So they get this recorded in their mind.
Okay, first and foremost, I would advise agents, to know your product, get hold of the SPA, get hold of the approvals from the Ministry of Housing. If it's from the YB Menteri, get hold of that, show that to the buyer. Do not keep it in your, keep it under wraps. Show that so that the buyer has the understanding that they actually are signing a legalized document. The SPA is actually authorized by the Ministry of Housing, is authorized by the KPKT. It may not be Schedule H, Schedule G, but we wouldn't know. Maybe in the future, there'll be a new schedule for PLS for under HDA. I heard there are some amendments coming through. Yeah, so that's one. Two, I think the plans, all the plans, the brochures, you need to actually somehow show it to the buyer. Indicate that there is a leasehold. What you are buying, what the buyers are buying are just rights to occupy, rights to be on the property and not registrable rights. So you need to be clear on that, and you need to share it with the buyer. It's a lease. You're basically a lessee of the owner. You're not a registrable owner. I think most importantly is the clarity, because I think when I read the cases, it's always the issue of misrepresentation. And misrepresentation would not be plead as an argument, it would not be even a claim if parties were very clear. Yeah, and especially the agents, because the agents are the one fronting the buyer. Yeah.
That can be a big issue because not everybody gets the same information. Not everybody has that level of knowledge to go explain to them. So it'll be good to put it on the paper, explain exactly what are the legal repercussions and all that. So when you give that to the purchaser, let them read and understood. Maybe that could be even a document for them to sign. I've read and understood this, so that tomorrow then agents will not be held responsible in this case.
And finally, Soma, I think most importantly is to advise your buyer. If they are not comfortable in signing something, do advise them to get themselves to be legally represented. There's lawyer in JB, find lawyers to be represented, because the developer's lawyers are acting for the developer. That's why they normally claim as free legal fees. They are the lawyers for the developer. They are not the lawyers for the buyers. So it would be good to actually tell the buyers, if you're not comfortable at all, get yourself represented so that your interests are being taken care of.
So I wanted to sum this up in a very simple manner, so most of the rents will try to understand. So basically, when you invest in this property under the private lease scheme, you are actually renting for more than 3 years.
Correct.
So you are occupying the land, you will enjoy the land, you'll enjoy the property for that period of time. And when the lease expires, you have to vacate.
Correct.
The building doesn't belong to you anymore.
Correct.
If the extension is not given. So
it's not an automatic extension.
Exactly. Yeah. Okay, so it's as simple as that. Okay. Now I want to make a slight diversion because while discussing about this as a group I've got a big group of our real estate agents out there, always throwing, putting up some good arguments.
Right.
A couple of years ago, I think 2 years ago, Bar Council, this is just for explanation purpose, understanding now. Bar Council, under the Solicitor's Remuneration Order, the Solicitor's Remuneration Order, for those who do not know what it is, it's equivalent to our 7th schedule in our rules, where you charge, how much fees do you charge. So theirs is a Solicitor's Remuneration Order, or they call it SRO. They went and amended it, and then they said they also can sell property, they also can charge fees, and there was a big hoo-ha that happened in the market.
Right.
Now, when this happened, at that time, a lot of agents were doing their tenancy agreements. Okay,
Right.
which I know that we are not supposed to do, but because we have been doing it for so many years, it was already an accepted norm in the fraternity that negotiators and agents can do the tenancy agreement.
Right.
So when we brought this matter up to the board of valuers,
Right.
estate agents, board of valuers separates estate agents and property managers, they referred the matter back to the bar council, and the bar council said, no, this is already there before. They just now making it rewording it or reenacting it properly, and so you can do transaction. At the same time, your agents are not supposed to be doing tenancy agreement. They hit us back, and so now all of us, most of us have already stopped doing this, and we are going back to the lawyers. Leaving that aside,
Right.
now can you explain to us when our Act 242 says that no one other than estate agent can do a real estate transaction, other than, of course, there are 4 exceptions: the owner of the land, the person with the power of attorney, the negotiator, and auctioneer. Only the exception 4. And then there's another law that says no, I can do. Where is this conflict? That's where we are all very upset and disturbed.
Right. Just to be clear, Soma, we are not lawyers. We have our etiquette rules as well. We are not supposed to be going into your side. We are not supposed to sell.
Okay.
If you read the SRO clearly, it doesn't say that we are allowed to go and sell as how estate agents can do, advertise, even advertise the property. What we can do is when we actually connect to purchasers and vendor, and we assist with the negotiations until the completion of the transaction. It's just that we are not allowed to advertise. No law firms in Malaysia can actually say, oh, under Zul Rafique, we can sell certain units. No, we are prohibited. There are clear laws for that. And if you do see law firms doing it, you can always complain to the Bar Council, and we will get screwed. Our license will be revoked.
By the way, I'm the disciplinary committee of the Bar Council.
Good. And I'm sure you know that for sure.
Yeah.
So as I said, under the Schedule 1, it clearly says that in addition to our legal fees, if we do assist and we do arrange and we do procure and assist the buyers, and there's a concluded sale, then for that when we involve with the price, the terms, any of the conditions, we are entitled to have an additional fee up to 3%, not clear-cut 3%, it's up to.
Up to 3%.
Yes, up to 3%. Then there is a discretion. If it's a prolonged negotiations, the lawyers are the ones introducing, and then when go on and on drafting the clauses, then perhaps you can add on to your fees.
Okay, can you again explain? So now you've got this landowner who's your client. He says, okay, hey, listen, since you're dealing with my land, maybe you're coming out with the will. If tomorrow anything, you go and find a buyer. How do you get buyer?
Okay, most of the time, as you know, as lawyers, we would know some developers, we would know some interested parties, and it's where we connect those two. We do not advertise. It's more of us knowing. Sometimes on our database, we do know a lot of people, not of corporate companies. For example, like the government side, we do know there are certain, for example, like Selangor state government. There are certain lands owned by state governments that we know that are currently being on, for sale. For example, we can actually connect, but more so we do not advertise. It's more of introducing the vendor to the purchaser, and there's no advertisement from the lawyers. The lawyers are not doing the selling. We cannot advertise. I think that's where your agents need to be clear. We do not sell. We can only.
You are not supposed to sell.
No, we are not supposed to sell.
Yes.
We are only assisting. We are only arrange and procure. What the Act says.
That's what it says.
Yes, what the SRO says. Arrange or procure. And for the sale, or for the sale for the vendor, or for the sale for the purchaser, and negotiate the price. So I think similarly with your side, with estate agents, you do this as well. Yeah. But you have a bigger role. You involve in bringing the buyer to see the property. You advertise in the, online, on advertisement in the newspaper. You have a bigger role. So that's where your 3% comes. But ours is only when we meet we arrange for the meeting of the buyer and vendor, and we are able to sort of like assist them with the negotiation of the price, terms and conditions, up to the transaction being completed.
Okay. So I think it's very clear now. Let's not go bickering around about this. They are not supposed to do that.
Right.
So as much as we have got our illegal agents doing all kind of nonsense, there are also some black sheep within the fraternity who may be doing this.
Yeah, they're not supposed to
We
do
are
that.
aware that lawyers are also working with agents, and then they share their fees and all that stuff. So I think you as an agent have a right to go and say, listen, your law does not allow to share any fees. You can
Sharing of fees is prohibited under the SRO.
it's prohibited.
Yeah,
So
prohibited,
they cannot ask,
Yeah.
neither should you go and share.
Correct.
Actually, MACC says if you share your fee, you can go to jail.
Correct. You are
Estate
also
agents
liable. Yeah,
cannot
also.
share your fee
Yep.
unless you declare from day one that you are sharing your fee. Anyway, that's a different subject matter.
That's
So I
another
think
matter.
it's very clear now that we're not supposed to do that. And the lawyers are doing this on a private basis.
Which is
They don't go
wrong.
and market, and they don't go and get listings to market. So they
No,
don't do
no,
that.
they
Okay.
don't do that, yeah.
So that gives a lega scale.
Yeah.
So anyway,
It's allowed,
I
yeah,
hope a lot of you agents out there will feel, go, let's
At
go and do
least.
our work. We got enough transaction that's going on for us to do the deal. Okay.
Yes, yes,
So, okay. So that's one question that was lingering in our minds. Maybe
Right.
you've shed some light.
Okay.
So with that, we are again running out of time. I never realized that some 10 questions already take up 45 minutes.
Yes.
So again,
Soma.
on behalf of all the real estate practitioners, on behalf of IQI, we want to thank you for coming. I know you're coming all the way from KL to
Yes,
Old
yes,
Klang Road,
yes.
and it's good that you have helped us to understand. I want to thank your bosses, especially Mr. Shaul, for allowing
Yes, yeah.
you to come. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
And we wish you all the best. Maybe in future, if there's something we can do, we will
Sure.
look upon on you. Okay.
Okay, thank
So
you
once
so much.
again, thank you very much.
Thank you.
So with that, ladies and gentlemen, don't forget MAREC convention coming this month. I've already given you the dates. Please follow through, especially those agents who have to get the 10 CPD points. Please go and attend. Our Minister of Housing is attending. It's good to know that. And then we are trying to break some national record in the Malaysian Book of Records. So let's give them full support and make sure that this year's MAREC convention is a success. So with that, New Year again has already passed 1 month. Go out there and do your best to make the best use of what is happening in the market. So with that, thank you very much. I will see you this last Friday of the month, 3 p.m. And we'll come up with a new topic. I haven't found a speaker yet, but if there's any suggestion, please send to me. You all got my number, and we'll try our best. Thank you very much again. Have a good month ahead. Thank you.